This week in Jamaica Now, pastor pleads guilty to sex crimes against 12-year-old girl he impregnated. Light sentence controversy. Man gets 6 years for double killings. Police constables fined for corruption breaches. The Justice Minister defends judges. $5 billion drug bust in Jamaican waters. Angela Brown Burke, now Peter Bunting's campaign director.
This is not a personal choice that I'm making. It is about the People's National Party.
What her husband has to say. Gay rights activist takes fight to international body. And Port Royal residents not optimistic about construction of floating pier.
The development of Port Royal has nothing to do with the people of Port Royal. There's a last to know what's going on in Port Royal.
I'm Damian Mitchell and this is Jamaica Now. After nearly 2 years of denial, Pastor Kenneth Blake has admitted that he repeatedly had sex with a 12-year-old girl whom he impregnated. Blake pleaded guilty to the offenses of grievous sexual assault, having sex with a person under the age of 16 years old, and sexual touching when he appeared in the Home Circuit Court in downtown Kingston this week. The 56-year-old pastor of Harvest Temple Apostolic Church was also charged with rape and forcible abduction, but those charges have been withdrawn by prosecutors. Jamaica's chief prosecutor, Paula Llewellyn, revealed that her office did not have sufficient evidence to mount a viable case against the pastor for the offense of forcible abduction. The pastor had claimed his innocence despite DNA tests, which concluded that there was a 99.9% chance that he could not be excluded as the father of the baby boy for the 12-year-old girl. Blake will be sentenced on October 18 and has been remanded. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck has defended judges facing fresh criticisms over perceived light sentences. At the same time, he says sanctions should serve as an emphatic denunciation of criminal conduct. His comments follow media reports that a High Court judge has sentenced a St. Catherine man, Jeffrey Campbell, to 6 years in prison at hard labor on manslaughter charges. Campbell had pleaded guilty to 2 counts of manslaughter for the stabbing deaths of 80-year-old returned residents Winifred Williams and her 56-year-old son Michael Williams. And on Monday, 3 police constables on corruption charges were each given 3-year suspended prison terms and fined $250,000. They had pleaded guilty to corruption charges in connection with the reports that they held a teenage boy with a gun and threatened to kill him unless they were paid $2 million. Mr. Chuck says judges are duty-bound to take several things into consideration, including guilty or not guilty pleas and time spent in custody by the defendant. A high-level police investigation is underway into the seizure of 193 kilograms of cocaine valued at 4.5 billion Jamaican dollars. It is reported that about 5:45 on Tuesday morning, the Jamaica Defense Force Coast Guard conducted an anti-narcotics operation southeast of Morant Point in Thomas, where they removed 50 packages floating in the water. They were taken to the narcotics headquarters and during processing, 998 parcels, each with cocaine, identified.
This is not a personal choice that I'm making. It is about the People's National Party.
St. Andrew Southwest MP Dr. Angela Brown Burke is now the campaign director for People's National Party PNP presidential contender Peter Bunting. Bunting's Rise United campaign said since Brown Burke's decision to join the camp last Friday, she has been making contributions. The development coincides with public comments following the leaking of a letter by Brown Burke's husband, Paul Burke, who said his wife deceived him by deciding to support Bunting. However, Mr. Burke acknowledges that it is within Brown Burke's right to support whomever she chooses.
There comes a time when the movement, when the party, when the country is bigger than self. And this is such a moment.
Mr. Burke has since said he was wrong to say his wife had deceived him, as deception would mean that there was motive. Gay rights activist Maurice Tomlinson has petitioned the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights, IACHR. He wants it to rule that Section 18.2 of the Jamaican Constitution contravenes various articles of the American Convention on Human Rights. That section of the Constitution does not recognize a union between persons of the same sex. In documents obtained by the Gleaner, Tomlinson, who also mounted a challenge to Jamaica's anti-sodomy laws in the local constitutional court, argued that because the Jamaican Constitution does not recognize same-sex marriage, he and his partner are unable to enjoy the benefits and protections they are afforded. The Port Authority of Jamaica is pumping $40 million into Port Royal Kingston to build a floating pier and promote the new cruise destination. But residents have expressed concern about the benefits they are being promised to receive.
The development of Port Royal has nothing to do with the people of Port Royal. There's the last to know what's going on in Port Royal.
I feel it's a good project if Port Royal people go and get work and benefit.
I saw on JIS News where we need a license to sell to the tourists. They have not informed us about that license.
However, the Port Authority says it will be coordinating training sessions in association with the Heart Trust NTA and the Jamaica Business Development Corporation to improve the skills of persons in the community who are interested in working as tour guides, storytellers, pedicab operators, store operators, and craft producers and vendors. The authority believes that cruise passengers will spend between $80 and $100 a day, and roughly 90% of these passengers will disembark. Finally, Chelsea Jerk Center Limited, located on Chelsea Avenue in St. Andrew, has announced that after 43 years in business, it will permanently close on August 4. Company's Office of Jamaica records show that the eatery, located at 7 Chelsea Avenue, is owned by members of the Williams family and others. When the Gleaner visited the restaurant, its management and staff declined to comment. However, on social media, the announcement has been met with disappointment and regret by patrons and other people. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. You may tune in to Power 106 FM for regular updates. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. I'm Damian Mitchell, and before we go, garbage in the Kingston Harbour after heavy showers in the corporate area this week.
Why this a gully a bus wicked? Rubbish.
Early, early.
No man, the 6 not real.
No, it's not real. It's real.
You see start back up here so now?
Alright, it's a shallow.